Is the Chiefs dynasty over? The Chiefs lose to the Detroit Lions. We are here with Colin Cowherd, his reaction to the game. Real quick, my reaction, the sky is not falling for Kansas City. I think if you look at the box score, it was, not all hope is not lost. The Chiefs YPP, yards per play. Chiefs and Lions were pretty close. Rushing yards per play, pretty close. Turnovers, even. And that told the story. It was a 50-50 game, 21-20, very close until the end. The pick six was what flipped it. A perfectly thrown ball from Patrick Mahomes lost in the game. And sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. The one thing that I would say the Chiefs can take away from this game is they need to fix the wide receiver room. The wide receivers were bad. They were awful. They threw the game. They cost the Chiefs the game. Kadarius Toney, the play we just talked about, the pick six, they dropped so many balls. They dropped so many first downs. Even the 4th and 25 at the end probably should have been caught. There were a bunch of other plays where it was either through their hands or off their hands or they just couldn't get to. And, the Chiefs probably need to shore that up. And it's kind of interesting because, and I understand that this is real life, it's not Madden, but you wonder, with DeAndre Hopkins available for such a cheap price, with Odell Beckham available, why were the Chiefs not interested? Why were the Chiefs not making a move for them? That obviously their Super Bowl window is wide open. So why don't you go get those guys? Why don't you go get the wide receivers who can help you? Why are you okay with just walking into the season with Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Montez Valdez-Scantling, Richie James? Go get these guys. Go get Hopkins. Go get Odell. Are they S-tier game-changing, game-breaking wide receivers? No, but you don't need them. You need the Jujus. You let Juju Smith-Schuster go. The Chiefs could have used Juju Smith-Schuster last night. They could have used literally anyone who could catch last night. So I don't know why teams do that when they have a glaring hole. And for what DeAndre Hopkins was traded for, seems like the Chiefs could do that. And last night was a glaring weakness, was that wide receiver room.
I think we watched two really good football teams, both with improved defenses, and neither played particularly well tonight. So starters over the last few years are playing fewer snaps in preseason.
I think preseason, the lack of preseason, week one's always going to be slow. Week one's always going to be, and defense goes faster than offense. So defense is going to look better, quicker. Offense takes a little time because of tempo and rhythm and all of that. Defense is a little different. So obviously, for the first couple of weeks, defenses will look better. And that's something you'll see across the entire NFL. But there isn't, that was to be expected. Was not to be expected is dropped passes and things like that, where these are still professional players. Kickers are kind of like that, where if a kicker goes and misses his first 4 kicks, you don't just say, he's getting used to the season. No, they're expected to make those kicks right off the bat. So I do agree with Colin. These were two good teams who didn't play very well, both of them. The Lions, I think Goff looked really good at times. Goff, I would say played really well. I think Jared Goff was playing well, and he was in a system that fits him perfectly. I mean, the play action, the way that, Amon-Ra St. Brown, the routes he runs, it's just such a good system for Jared Goff. I thought that the offensive line was good. I thought that's something that you could see right off the bat, was that the Detroit can run the football. They can be a power team. They're not just a drop back and let Jared Goff sling it around. Gibbs wasn't used, I don't think, how people thought he was going to be used. People thought he'd be super dynamic and used on all these wild ways, but he was used pretty sparingly. I thought he ran well, when he got the ball, when he got in space, he showed signs. But I would say if I was a Detroit Lions fan, that'd be my big takeaway, was why wasn't Jahmyr Gibbs used more or more dynamically? What is the plan with him moving forward for someone that was touted so heavily?
I thought that was fairly evident. We've seen that in college football with the transfer portal. You don't have a preseason in college football. It can get choppy, even for the great teams like Ohio State. These are much better defenses. Kansas City relied on a lot of young players. They didn't have Chris Jones tonight, yet generated a really good pass rush, batted down several
Yeah, the Chiefs defense looked fine. Their secondary is super young. I think their secondary looked okay. Chris Jones, when you're missing a player like that who is as good of a defensive tackle as anyone in the NFL, obviously there's going to be a huge issue. And yeah, definitely you could tell. You could definitely tell that they missed him. But with him being out, I thought the defense, for as unknown as a lot of those players are, and as young as a lot of those players are, I think they held up really well.
Jared Goff throws, including a crucial 4th and 2 late. Now, they lost the game, but that was a big moment. Yeah. So, and they've got, Nick Bolton's a tremendous young linebacker. Yeah. They've got some young studs in the secondary. So if you're a Kansas City, that's a pretty good defensive performance because the Lions are going to light some people up. That O-line, Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, running game. Detroit's going to drop some.
Detroit's a legitimate offense. If I was a KC fan, I would come out of that. The only question coming out of that would be the wide receivers, because Kelsey's coming back, so that the offense is going to look better, and that some of those possessions will go to him, and he'll be fine. But I would still have a lot of concern of who is going to be the wide receiver. You still need a guy. You still need wide receivers who can do things. Kadarius Toney, maybe he just had a bad game, but I mean, I don't know how you can even almost have him on the field. And again, Sky Moore and Scantling, it's okay, fine, but you need at least one average wide receiver. And yes, it was only one game, but I didn't see anyone on the field for the Chiefs who was even close to an average wide receiver. So I'd be concerned about that moving forward.
30 bombs on people. And I thought Kansas City's defense, all those young players, another year in camp, another off season under Spags. I thought the Chiefs defense was really impressive and generated against a great O-line, a pretty consistent pass rush without Chris Jones. So for Kansas City, all is not lost. You didn't have Kelsey. You didn't have Chris Jones. And, you missed Kelsey. There's 1% of the players in this league are worth, take out quarterbacks, there may be 20 players in this league that are worth a point to a point and a half. And Travis Kelce's one of them. And when you lose a Tyreek Hill, a Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelce becomes even more crucial. How many passes did Toney drop tonight? How many passes did Kansas City drop tonight? Travis Kelce would have gotten a dozen.
Kelce, I agree that, obviously he is a game changer. He is just as impactful as a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase or whatever. But the problem with Kelce in this situation is that defensive coordinators aren't stupid. After they watch this game, if I was a defensive coordinator, I would come out of this saying, look, guys, all we have to do is stop Travis Kelce, because the rest of these guys can't do anything. The rest of these guys are not players. They are practice squad players. Guys can't do it. So even as average as Juju is, it's at least someone who can take a little bit of pressure off of Kelce. Bracketing Kelce, double teaming Kelce, all that stuff now is priority number one for these teams playing Kansas City. Because until they prove it, I'm fine with saying, look, if Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney and Justin Ross, if they beat me, they beat me. But this performance just made every defensive coordinator's job a lot easier moving forward.
14 targets, made 9 to 10 catches, probably for over 100 yards. So they really missed Travis Kelce tonight. His ball security, his hands, his dependability on big third down plays. And that's not an excuse. That's probably the difference in the ball game. Kelce is that much of a security blanket in key spots. It's like Brady and Gronk. He just is great players. Edelman, Gronk, how big were they in playoff games, big games on third down or fourth down in the red zone for Tom Brady? Even great players have players they depend on. Let's talk Detroit. I didn't think they played necessarily that great. I thought their O-line struggled at pass protect. I didn't think they could generate much of a run game.
I thought Detroit was good. I thought they played, all things considered, really hard. That's a really tough game. To go there, all the hype Detroit's had, to go to Arrowhead with that crowd and that noise. First game of the year where you're not going to be 100% as far as tempo and all that stuff. And to still be efficient and to still be good. I thought they were good. I thought I was impressed, I would say, with Detroit. And if you're a Lions fan, that's a performance I think you can say, okay, we know who we are. If that's the worst we're going to look, that's probably still good enough to win the NFC North. That's probably still good enough to be a playoff team. What you didn't want to see is a fraudulent performance where you go out there, you get rolled by a Travis Kelce-less Chiefs team, and then it's like, well, man, maybe we aren't as good as we think we are. But that's a C. I would say both teams were like a C- version of themselves. And if that's the case, Detroit's good. I thought Hutchinson was great. I thought their defense was strong. I thought they, you could tell like they're still figuring out the running game. Like Colin just mentioned, the running game. They got 2 brand new running backs. Singletary is new in there. Jahmyr Gibbs, first game so figuring out like how to use him, figuring out where he's best. All that'll come in time. I thought that all things considered, I would feel pretty good about this if I was a Detroit Lions fan.
Early, and that's with a good O-line. But again, the cohesion is very difficult. You're on the road. It's
for sure.
loud. Kansas City played very well defensively up front. Spags is a great defensive coordinator. So I thought the Lions have addressed. I mean, the last 2 drafts, the Lions know. Most of their talent was on the offensive side. So their front office has done a good job. Branch had a pick 6. Hutchison's a tremendous. He's not TJ Watt yet, but he is a tremendous.
He's real good.
He's not a Bosa yet, but he is excellent. Consistent pass rusher, great motor, never stops out of Michigan. So if you're the Lions tonight, if I'm a Lions fan, my take is I didn't think we even played that great in the first half. I thought where you saw the Lions' strength is as the game wore on, that offensive line, they had that 9-play drive in the fourth quarter.
I also thought it was good. The Lions showed who they are scheme-wise and philosophy-wise, where you could really tell this is going to be a team that goes for it on fourth down. This is going to be a team that does fake punts. This is going to be a team that knows who they are offensively. This is a team that knows our defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson, he's going to be coming after you. Like Colin said, the motor and the pressure, they really kind of showed what you can expect from this team moving forward. And in the first couple of games of a season, that's the main thing to me, is does a team know who they are? Does a team have an identity? Does a team have these cohesive points? Like is their offensive line a thing? Is their pass rush a thing? Can they run the ball? Like you want to see all those different things. And the Lions showed who they are pretty much at all those little different things. And this is by no means the best version of the Detroit Lions. So very promising for a team with a lot of hype, a team that a lot of people believe in. They kind of proved like this is why they should believe in them.
They picked up a first down late, trying to kill the clock. That's just, these games, defenses early in games, Kansas City, consistent pass rush, young defense. All of a sudden, that 9-play drive, Goff made a couple of big throws. And it was a power run game. It was clever. They had different looks, but it was not a finesse run game on that 9-play drive. It was a power run game. And you could see it felt a little bit like, to me, that O-line kind of exerted its power a little bit in that drive. Again, I think 2 really good teams, 2 clearly improved defenses. Neither played particularly well. So if you're Kansas City, Travis Kelce was clearly missed. Chris Jones didn't feel like he was. But Travis Kelce was clearly missed with all the drops. Chris Jones was
missed,
I think if you look at Detroit, you're like, we didn't play particularly well. Some mishaps in the first half. I didn't even think, I know everybody loves the OC, Ben Johnson, for the Lions. I didn't love his play calling in certain spots tonight. I really didn't. On 4th and 2 in the fourth quarter, I'm like, where are my notes here? 4th and 2. There's a minute or so, a minute and a half, 2 minutes left, maybe 2.5.
I thought he was better than Andy Reid and Matt Nagy. I thought Johnson was better. I thought a lot of the KC play calling was weird. And I understand like you're trying, you can't call what you want because Travis Kelce's not there. And it's easy to say now, but on 3rd and short, I don't ever want to have a situation where Blake Bell is replacing Patrick Mahomes as quarterback. There was a lot of sweeps and a lot of misdirection stuff on those short on those short kind of plays. And again, like maybe if Travis Kelce's there, you don't do any of that stuff and you're going to Travis Kelce more. And so maybe this was like, well, let's wrinkle some of this stuff out there because we're desperate. Maybe that's the case, but even like the 4th and 25, like just I understand going for it, I guess. Like I've kind of gone back and forth on that. I think it's crazy to go for it. Like I think, and look, this is how I kind of framed it in my mind, was that they were thinking if they don't get it, they're kind of in the same spot of we'll still have to stop them and they'll kick a field goal and we'll still have to score a touchdown. I guess I understand that, even though if on the other side of it is if you punt and stop them, then all you need is a field goal instead of a touchdown. So I understand what Reed was doing there, I guess, but it's still crazy. Like it's so crazy to say, hey, our receivers can't catch. Let's go for a 4th and 25 with 3 timeouts over the 2-minute warning. So risky there. Hated the sweeps, hated the misdirection plays, but at the same time, I'm okay with it given that they were missing Travis Kelce in a huge chunk of their playbook.
Run the ball. You just had a 9-play power run drive. Like, run the ball. They didn't. Pass, batted down.
The 4th and 2, I agree with that.
I think Detroit is flying home tonight thinking, Dan Campbell's saying in that locker room, guys, this was not flawless football. We just beat the world champs on the road. We didn't play that great in spots. Our pass protection wasn't great. Couldn't run the football in the first half.
And they were really up against it at halftime, too. You got KC scoring and then getting the ball to start the second half. That's usually a situation where they're not losing that game. That is a really tough backs against the wall situation to be in for Detroit. I thought the game was over there. I thought the game was over when KC scored, getting the ball and to start the second half. I thought, okay, this is where KC is going to dominate this game. This is where it's probably going to get ugly. And for Detroit to overcome that, Detroit to, granted it took a super fortunate pick 6, but still, if you're flying home and you're Detroit, you got to look at this and say, guys, we can do this. If we can go beat Kansas City on the road with not our best football, maybe we can. Maybe we can push to be a serious contender in the NFC. So if I'm Detroit, I mean, the hype train's real. If I'm Detroit, I'm thinking the Super Bowl is a possibility.
Goff, a lot of passes batted down. But I think what you saw with that fake punt early in the game, I think Detroit came in with a mindset. We're taking big swings here. Okay, we're not playing the world champs and going conservative. To beat Mahomes, got to take a lead, got to take big cuts, big swings. Can't play not to lose. I mean, how many times have we seen that with Mahomes?
Whether it's right or wrong, the call. That was a huge gutsy call to do that. Because if you don't get that, you're getting ripped everywhere. Like, what's this guy doing? Fake punts, within his own 25. Like, you can't do that. He would be getting absolutely crushed. But that's what I'm talking about with the identity, is they're telling you, like, we don't really care. We're going to go for it. We're going to do this stuff. We're going to push. We're not afraid. That's a mindset. That's identity. That's philosophy. That's a scheme. That's who they are. And it's refreshing to watch. And that's something else that I'd be very positive, I think, is that identity.
You got to play aggressive football. And so they came in with an attitude.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Dan Campbell has provided. Do I think he's schematically brilliant? Well, he's built a very good staff. So he knows people, that's clear. The front office has done a really good job to build this O-line and the defense up.
I talked about this with Campbell his first year. We skewered him on the channel here for some terrible decisions. And he did fix it. He fixed it by going and getting people who he can trust to make those decisions. And I think a lot of coaches should do that. A lot of coaches can't make those decisions. They're not built for that. Mike McCarthy is one. So I've always said, if that's the case, fine, but go get people who can. This is the NFL. These teams are funded very well. You can go get an analytical guy. You can go get someone in the booth. If you don't understand 4th down analytics, or should I go for it? Should I not? Should I kick? Should I go? If you don't understand all that, go get someone who does. Go get someone from MIT or something to sit in the booth and run the numbers in real time and be in your headset. That is not out of the realm of possibility for NFL coaches. They have quality insurance coaches, I think it's called, who don't do anything. There's coaches on the staff who are there just to make sure the head coach stays on the sideline. We've all seen them like pulling back the coach. So the coaches and the teams who make those moves and go and get the coordinators or the assistants or the staff that can do those things, Dan Campbell's not an offensive genius. Ben Johnson might be. Good. I've said it with the Saints. Dennis Allen is not going to go out there and be an offensive guru. So why doesn't he go get a guy who is? Go get a guy who you think can fix it. It's simple. The NFL now, before it was like just the head coach, and the head coach decided everything. Now I think it's a very assistant-driven league. If your offensive and defensive coordinators or whoever's on your staff, if they can fill in those gaps that your head coach can't do, like Dan Campbell, it allows Dan Campbell to be the man manager, the motivator, the fiery guy. Forcing him to be that guy and then also to be some fourth down analytical genius is unfair. So I give full kudos to Dan and the defense, the Detroit Lions, for understanding that and filling those gaps on the staff
over the last couple of years. When I do these hits, everybody always feels good about the winning team. If I'm Detroit, we didn't play that great, and we won in Kansas City. I think Travis Kelce was missed.
For sure.
Man.
Obviously.
A lot of drops. Now, the other thing, I don't think Mahomes played particularly well. I thought he was behind.
I thought he was really good.
The timing was off. This is the downside to not playing quarterbacks in the preseason match.
I thought Mahomes was super good. I thought he was incredibly... He made so many plays in the pocket. He was moving around well. His legs looked good. Even the throws were good. I mean, the pick six was off of Toney's hands. The 4th and 25 was doinked off of whoever's face. So I thought he was really good. And he was a couple catches away from having one of those Patrick Mahomes special games. This was one of those games where it shows like how mercurial of a talent Patrick Mahomes is, where he could drag this team to that performance. I thought this was a really good game for Patrick Mahomes.
Really hit and miss. I mean, he short hopped a deep ball. He never does that. Behind on 2 or 3 guys. Now, the drops didn't help.
Yeah.
But, again, when you don't have your security blanket, your Edelman or your Gronk for Brady, you're forcing stuff. The timing's not perfect. So you have young guys. Sky Moore's a young guy. I don't have Kelce. I didn't play much in the preseason. This is what it looks like. So it's a go-either-way game. The Lions get that big drive, that 9-play drive late. Wasn't pretty, was not an artistic masterpiece.
Yeah, certainly not.
I don't think either team played particularly well. But a tip of the cap to the Lions.
For sure.
Good for them. I had them winning the NFC North. I think they're my team. I think in that division, amongst the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings, I think they have the best offensive line. I think they edge Green Bay for the best offensive line.
I think they're much the better team.
I think Goff is better than Kirk Cousins. Not as athletic, but a better pocket guy than Justin Fields. Better than Jordan Love. So I think the O-line and the quarterback, I think the Lions have the best groups in their division, and I think their defense has improved. They've Branch,
for sure,
Hutchinson,
very much
they've hit a couple guys. So it's an exciting time. My wife is from Michigan. She doesn't follow sports or care about it, but she knows about the Lions and she knows about Michigan football. So good for Detroit. And they've had some lean decades, but it felt big. It felt big for them.
It felt
and
like a big
I liked
win.
the way Detroit won. I like that 9-play drive in the second half. That's just Dan Campbell. That's biting kneecaps. That's big, tough, physical, power running. Nice W.
I talk about this a lot with early season NFL. These first couple of weeks, to me, it's more important to see a team's identity, a team's philosophy. It's more important for that than it is for results. And the Lions got both. But even if they would have lost the game, understanding like, okay, this is who they are. This is what they can do. This is what we can expect. Because every team right now, you just don't know. You just don't know. Green Bay right now, for example, if they come out this week and Jordan Love is a mess, that's it. Like, that's just it. Because right now, a lot of people are saying, well, maybe he'll be good. But if he shows you it's not going to work, then you kind of know what you got. Same with every team. So you want to see what Detroit did tonight. You want to see, like, okay, like if I'm a Lions fan, I know I can trust Jared Goff. I know I can trust the defensive line. I know what my offensive line looks like. I know what the scheme is. I know what my running game is. I know who my playmakers are. they answered a lot of questions positively. They answered a lot of questions positively, and if I had them to win the NFC North, I'd feel great about it. So, and KC kind of did the same thing, where KC lets you know what they're going to do. And their biggest question mark now is, okay, we now know we have a huge issue with the wide receivers. How are we going to fix it? Are they going to get better? Or are we going to get new ones? Or is this going to be a problem all year long? Because if this is a problem all year long, it might not be the dominant Chiefs that we're used to. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What did you think about the game? If you're a Lions fan, Chiefs fan, where do you come down on this? What did you think? Is the dynasty over? Or is it just a couple of wide receivers away from being right on back on track? Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.